Miami Collective, thank you for continuing to grow in community by engaging in online worship, in-person small groups, and events with us. As you know, we want to practice the love given to us in Jesus, and in response to this, we're launching an intergenerational approach to discipleship. In Psalm chapter 78, the psalmist explains the importance of testifying about God's work to the next generation so they too would remain in the faith and love as God loves. We understand that following these practical steps may be a challenge or even an inconvenience for you. That is why we encourage you, with the teachings found in Hebrews chapter 5, to not linger simply on the consumption of events and gatherings, but to go and grow in the practice of what has been taught. So, ending the study on the life of David and what it means to be an authentic leader, please take note of the practical ways you can deal with conflict as Elder Wilny shares his experience.
Hello, my name is Wilny, and I want to talk to you about conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is an issue that every human being face one time or another. Because you see, basically, we are all conflicted people because of sin, because of humanity. We're in conflict with ourselves. So at times, we're in conflict with each other. And it all has to do a lot with communication, what we call interpersonal communication and intrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication is how you talk to yourself. Yes, it is healthy to talk to yourself. It is not healthy, however, to have a full conversation with yourself, to actually answer yourself. But a lot of the time, we don't know even what we're thinking. So we don't know how to respond to our feelings and our emotions. That's what I call intra-communication. Obviously, interpersonal communication is communicating one to the other. We are complicated beings. Because of this conflict, we need to learn first to communicate. So behavioral differences between people is one of the causes why we have conflict. For example, we have different ways of seeing life. Each of us grew up in a different family. Some psychologists will even tell you, actually neuropsychologists who've studied the subject will tell you, even people who are twins can have conflict. Because even though they came from the same egg that split, they end up with a variety of differences in their personalities. And because of that, the way they communicate with themselves, the way they communicate with other people, and the way they communicate with each other as twins can cause conflict. How do I know that? My mother was a twin, okay? And over the years as I grew up, and my mother, her twin is a male, and I watched them, they were always friendly, but they had differences even though they were twins. So conflict exists in all types of people. So we get that from the DNA pool, what you inherit from your parents. Then there's the environment, the whole idea of nature versus nurture. Nurture is what you get from the home you grew up with. Nature is what you get from the environment, from church, from work, from friends, from society. All those different messages come at you as an individual. And imagine each person on the planet, even close family members, receive different messages. So when you get together to communicate, those different messages can clash and cause conflict. Okay, let's talk about temperaments. Temperament is a big thing in conflicting because you have basically 4 temperaments. You have the sanguine, you have the choleric, you have the melancholy, and you have the phlegmatic. These 4 types of people are totally different from each other. For example, in case you don't know me, I'm a sanguine. Happy-go-lucky, very positive. The world is a bouquet of flowers, and we smell it, we enjoy it. That's a sanguine, full of life. Then you have the choleric. The choleric is the hardcore, direct communicator, in your face, you know, they can be short-tempered, and the life is just about getting to the goal. Me, life is about fun. The choleric, it's the goal. Then you have a melancholy, more quiet, more subdued, more feeling like, caring more, generally speaking. And then you have the phlegmatic, Just the facts, please. Numbers, people. They don't really care about how you feel. Just give me the numbers, give me the facts. Now, can you imagine these four people trying to communicate? The choleric shows up. Okay, let's get to the point. In the meantime, the sanguine is saying, hey, let's have some fun. And the melancholy is coming, come on, guys, let's relax. Let's give each other hugs and let's get along. And the phlegmatic, in the meantime, is rolling her eyes saying, oh, what a waste of time. So you can understand when you have these people communicating with each other, you can have conflict. So how do you resolve those conflicts? First thing I want to recommend is what we call understanding. A very smart man by the name of Stephen Covey, a prolific writer back in the 80s and 90s, wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That book was really hot in the market back in the early 90s. Now, habit number 5 goes like this. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. The number one step in dealing with conflict is to attempt to understand the other person. That is not always easy because to understand, you have to learn to listen. Listening is a lost art, says a philosopher. Because most of us think we're listening, but while you think you're listening, you're really listening to yourself. The person is talking, and you're saying to yourself, when in the world are they going to stop talking so I can say something, so I can give them a piece of my mind, so I can share my opinion? That's how we listen typically. We listen to ourselves much more than we listen to other people. So you can understand when you have a conversation with someone and you only listen about 25 to 30%, when you respond, you're responding from what you heard in your head from yourself and not necessarily from the person. Hence, you have broken communication. So, in order to resolve conflict, the first thing you need to learn is to understand the other person, and you understand by learning to listen. Another way to deal with conflict is to be open to other people's ideas. You are not always right. There are certain things you need to hear. I have a lot of friends, and some of my friends, I know them. When they say something, you cannot contradict them because they are right. And when you try to contradict them, they either become passive-aggressive, aggressive, or just passive, period, which is totally annoying if you ever dealt with people like that. So you have to be open and say to yourself, okay, whenever someone is saying something that is different from what I know, it's a learning moment, a teaching moment. I can learn something new. But for you to learn something new, you have to be open. First thing I said, seek to understand by listening. Number 2, be open. And the last point I want to make is when you're dealing with conflict, realize that everybody is carrying a burden somehow. We all have something in our life that bugs us, that drives us nuts. Okay? Everyone has one. And sometimes at the height of stress, when that thing is really bugging us, we don't communicate very well. We can really be defensive without even wanting to. So when that moment occurs, know yourself enough to know, okay, I'm going through a moment. I'm having a period of time when things are not going well. So be aware of yourself. We call that self-awareness. So first, seek understanding by listening. Number 2, be open. And third, be self-aware. Now, I can give you a whole speech on self-awareness, but just understand, to be self-aware is to spend time with yourself and with God. Because the more time you spend with God, the more He will help you understand yourself. I want to share a Bible verse with you that is very, very keen and very important to me. It's on the screen here. It's found in Luke chapter 12, verse 27. Consider how the wild flowers grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. What is this verse saying? It's saying that if God can take care of nature, He can take care of you. So, to be self-aware, you need to submit yourself to God and in due time, you'll be aware of who you are and how you come across, and you'll become a better communicator. And the conflicts in your life will diminish. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Wilny, for delivering the Praxis to our Authentic Leader series. We hope to see you involved in our Miami Collective gatherings and online content. So if you're looking for another action step, here's one for you. Like this video, subscribe, and maybe comment below. What did you think about these practical steps? See you next time.